Today I have two special guests. I have David Waverly, formerly NASA employee, and as most of you know, Cindy Holland, also formerly NASA employee. And we're going to talk about, are there satellites, and if there are, what type of satellites. David's going to talk just a little bit about the South Pole because he was stationed there. So he's got a lot of cool information, facts about that. And we're going to talk about Cindy. Of course, she worked at Lockheed Martin, which an engineer told her what?
That the Earth is flat.
The Earth is flat, straight from an engineer at Lockheed Martin. Now, if anybody knows if the Earth's flat, Lockheed would know. So, David, let's hear, what did you do for NASA? And tell us about your experiences. I know you work for Goddard Space Center. Tell us about your experiences at the South Pole.
Yeah. Okay, so I actually wasn't at the South Pole because there isn't a South Pole.
Oh!
But,
whoa. Is there something to walk on down there? I mean,
first of all, Antarctica, regardless of whether you believe in a globe or a flat Earth with a encircled or encompassed Antarctica, Antarctica is a landmass covered with ice, a whole lot of ice.
How far out did you get to go?
How much ice is there? Anyway, so you know I don't have a serious face. Sorry, dude. You get.
But
how far out did I go? I was in McMurdo Station.
Okay, so you're right on the edge, under just directly south of New Zealand, right?
Yeah,
that's
sort of. I mean, everything is south.
Well, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pulling your leg, man. Listen. So look. Okay. It's pretty. You go to Christchurch, New Zealand, on the way to Antarctica to go out to the ice, they call it. So I was in McMurdo to put a data ingest system. Now, this was in my career at NASA when I believed we lived on the globe Earth. I bought all the science, all the space, the vast universe, and billions of stars. I bought into all that, just like most of us did at one point. And so I'm down there, and we put this system in to capture the data, and it's for polar orbiting spacecraft, so that because there's a big data hole in the Antarctic data set, a big hole.
Are you talking about the map part, the part where Hollow Earthers say there's nothing there?
Yes, any map that you would have seen of the Earth showed this huge gaping lack of data in the center of Antarctica. And I can tell you the reason why that is because there is no center in Antarctica. Antarctica is a ring, but I didn't know that then. So we go down there. Now here's the thing, and I was about to tell you a little while ago, is I set this system up, everything's functional, we were ingesting data, we're retransmitting it offline when there are no spacecraft orbiting over, quote unquote. And about 10 years later, I'm watching a YouTube video and I'm looking at images on Google Earth of Antarctica. And there's a big gaping hole in the data set for Antarctica on Google Earth. And I'm like, now you got to understand, I personally went there to correct that. So I was kind of like a little weirded out. Like, why in the heck is there no data for this large area of Antarctica? And I went down there to correct that. And this is here 10, 12 years later. So I called my old boss and said, hey, Mike, what's the deal? How come we don't have any data, any imagery over the center portion of Antarctica? And his answer to me, and this is, I talked to my pastor about this even, because I was like freaking out about it, because it didn't make any sense.
You think after 10 years they'd have some data, right?
Dude, 12 years.
12 years, okay.
Yeah, and we spent $500,000, which isn't a lot of money by NASA standards, but on this project to go down there, I didn't even want to go, to be honest. I was newly married to my wife. I didn't want to leave her for 5 minutes. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, so I go down. I was lamenting the whole time, you guys. Anyway, So I call Mike and I say, what's the deal with this? And he says, well, Dave, they opted out. They didn't want our data. They got a pipe. They got a fiber optic network from McMurdo to Svalbard. Now, you got to understand, Svalbard is almost the total other side of the world, okay? It's one of the most north places on the quote-unquote planet, okay?
Now, is this an undersea pipe from McMurdo that far?
Yes. Fiber optic pipes under the ocean from McMurdo Station all the way to Svalbard. Now, even on a flat Earth map, it's freaking far, okay?
So wait a minute. Supposedly we have satellites. We have all this great space technology.
Yes.
Why the heck do we need a fiber optic pipe from
Listen,
McMurdo?
that's what I'm getting at. So he's telling me this, and this is what he's telling. And I'm going. I don't even think I believe that I knew about flat Earth yet. Then this is what was leading up to my going. Holy crap! We're deceived. So I'm on the phone with him, and he's retired at this point from NASA. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why the hell? He said, well, they opted out to send the data to Svalbard. That's the Norwegians, okay? And that they would process the data and sell it back to us.
What?
I'm just saying. So I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't it? Now remember, how many guys can you talk to that said, hey, I personally went down there and put it in a data retrieval system for polar orbiting spacecraft in Antarctica? You hear that every day, right?
Well, in the flat Earth community, there's a few.
Yes, I know that. Yes.
So it's important that everybody understand that you were there to map what's essentially still not there and still not mapped today.
That's right. To fill out an area of data, a huge area that was not there. And it's still not. See, here's the thing. He says, well, yeah, they pipe it over the fiber optic network to Svalbard, and then they sell it back to us. Well, it's still a big gaping hole in the data. Hello?
So 2017, we have yet to map a portion of one of our continents if the Earth is a globe, correct?
And we supposedly, quote unquote, have continuously polar orbiting spacecraft. Guys, listen. There's a whole series of spacecraft that I worked on also, called EOS, Earth Observation Systems. And it was like 5 different spacecraft, and they each looked at different spectrum. One was for atmospheric qualities, another was Terra, anyway. They are all polar orbiters because the whole idea is that if the Earth is spinning and these daggone satellites go around and they get a different swath of the world as the Earth spins underneath it.
Right, strip data.
Again, I'm speaking. Huh?
That's called strip data, right?
Yeah. And so, okay, and from a global perspective, that makes sense, right? Okay, so how come there's no data still from the southern part of Antarctica?
Well, according to Rob Simmons, and he gave us Russia's, Japan's, and the U.S.'s image servers, the Titan, the MRR-8, and the Epic Discover are all pictures of models taken from ground-based cloud radar, and then they put the model together of Earth. All their image data is fake. It's not a picture of Earth from space. So we know that about those satellites because Rob Simmons, and that's the guy, in case you don't know, folks, it's Photoshop. It has to be. Well, it has to be Photoshop because there are no pictures of Earth. So we know for a fact those images are not from space. They're just images put together by a computer called MyDoll. And so now you're saying you were stationed in Antarctica. Your job was supposedly to map this missing big area. Because NASA, if they show a radar of the South Pole, you see this big gaping round circular hole there of no data of anything mapped. And so your job was to map this out. 12 years later, you come to find out that they mapped nothing. It's still the same today, right?
Correct. Matter of fact, I did some research on my own work and looked it all up because they have what's called mission design reviews. Okay. And Cindy, you probably know about that, right? So
I know. Yeah, we have that in our. Yeah.
And so they would also look at proposals, whether a mission or a project was viable. And it's a lot of work leading up to before you're ever even able to execute any part of a project. And well, that's how they raise costs, and people have careers for 30 years on one spacecraft project. But anyway, I'm just saying. So I looked it up, and I could find all this work that my boss had gone and campaigned with University of Wisconsin and all these guys, and there was all these project plans and proposals regarding this, and why they were going to spend the money, why we were going to go down there and do that. You could find it. It's out there because I looked it up. I wanted to see what led up to why I went there, you know? And basically, his answer does not give an answer because it doesn't make any sense. He didn't answer the fact that there's a big gaping hole in the data still.
In other words, nothing mapped. That's what we call a gaping hole in the data. Nothing mapped.
There's a map of Antarctica on a globe Earth. I used to have a globe in here for joke purposes. On a globe Earth, anybody that looks at it, you show Antarctica. When you look, go to Google Earth, and if you zoom in, you'll notice that the lines from data scans, they converge at the middle and they become nothing. It's just white. There's no data. It's kind of filled in, kind of like the guy who made the Earth image, right? It's Photoshop.
It has to be. All right, awesome. Now, David, you, Cindy, and I, we were talking about actual, what we would call real satellites, not ones orbiting a ball, of course, but real satellites that actually resonate probably on a frequency perfectly in our magnetic field. They have found technologies, and Cindy, you know you've heard of the TR3, the funny triangle-shaped spacecraft they got. We have aircraft that actually can hover almost indefinitely in tune with our magnetic field. That's what I'm understanding. Cindy, you mentioned a project that you cannot talk about, of course, and we'll respect that. But they are, in most part, what are really satellites, correct? What can you tell us about this, Cindy?
Well, I have not researched that particular aircraft myself, but I can tell you that the research that I've done shows us that the satellites that they claim are orbiting Earth are not orbiting Earth. There are
not flying around the ball, kept in check by gravity by constantly falling and missing the curve, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That are never seen in any photos, by the way.
That's a crazy concept too, that you're spinning around a ball, constantly falling and missing it because you're going 17.
It's a great sci-fi movie.
Yeah, that's science fiction.
It's a sci-fi movie. It's a really good topic, but in reality, yes, they're building satellites because I have friends who work for these companies who build them. Yes, sir. There are people who build these and work on these programs, and that's not fake. What's fake is that they're being sent into orbit. That's the part that's fake, and so that's the part that we're researching. We're looking into these anomalies because we know that outer space is not factual. It's created. It's not, It's a sci-fi movie. It's not
Yes.
something that's able to be. You can't go there.
Yeah.
It's
We
just not a
can't
place
get to
you
the
can go.
moon. So Cindy,
You can't.
let me ask you, Cindy, I've talked to NASA engineers and they claim, well, I work on satellites. Are you saying that somebody who works at NASA could actually work on parts of the equipment that go on things that are actually going up in the air to hover, orbit Earth, or ride along our magnetic field? Because David, you were talking about they find this sweet spot, a resonating frequency, that they have technology that they can stay up there as long as they stay in tune with Earth's magnetic field. Is it possible employees, Cindy, can build these things and they tell them it's an orbital satellite, but still be functional and be used for maybe one of these platform devices?
It's hard to know what they would be used for because we're not in the know. And most of the people who work on these satellites are not in the know. There's no way they would have an idea of where they're being used or how their functionality actually works, but they are building them. I know I have a close friend I grew up with who works at Boeing, and when I first started posting that satellites were fake, she was very upset with me because she works build satellites. Well, a lot of us work with people who build or work on satellites. I've worked for NASA. I've worked for the Air Force. I've worked for Lockheed Martin. I've worked for Raytheon. I've worked in other NASA contracting positions, and we're all doing something. We're all working on projects and programs. The problem is it's a need-to-know basis. Everything is need to know. You're told what you're told. You do your job. You come to work, and you retire, and that's pretty much it. So most folks would never know that the hard work that they're doing is not what they think it is.
Can I interject on that?
Yeah.
That idea?
Yeah.
Okay. When I was at Goddard, Mike and Cindy, and anybody listening, there's this environment of it's a wonderful, almost utopian ideal where you're all doing this great work for the betterment of mankind, and you almost believe this. You really do. And a lot of us at Goddard, it wasn't just a job; it's what we did. I mean, you could sleep there and shower there and shop there. They had a shop and so they create this environment that's conducive to nobody starts going, oh, they're keeping secrets from us. I mean, that's so no anyone listening to this should not think like the people they're kept under a ball and chain. And it's such an utterly amazing work environment that you never stop to think, we're doing something bad.
Right.
I mean, you're it's a given. You're doing this wonderful work, and everybody's doing their little portion, and then they launch a spacecraft. Ooh, cool. You know.
And what he's saying is exactly right. The environment is happy, proactive. They teach you, they train you. Everybody's friendly. I mean, for the most part, I was with NASA for 4 years, from 1996 to 2000. My time with NASA was my first actual career position outside of college. I was terrified, but I was so excited. And to meet all those people and to think back to the folks that I've worked with, amazing people. So I don't want anybody who works for these companies or works for the DoD to ever think that I'm putting down NASA employees or Air Force employees or any of them. I still have a love for them, still friends with them. We're all under this blanket of unknown. None of us know the truth. That's what it is. Nobody knows unless you're in the top. I don't know. Probably.
Even the top at NASA, they probably don't know. It's all. it's all obscured by fervor and excitement and ideals that most of us were taught since kindergarten.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
If you think about the movies that have come out and the way that it affects the mind, so sci-fi movies, rockets, there's a movie called The Knowing, and they put together a thing, what do you call it? It goes into the ground. It's the, I can't think of the title of it, but it's all the kids from 50 years prior drew pictures of what
Time capsule.
Thank you, time capsule.
Yeah.
They put in pictures of what they thought, and I thought it was funny that they drew rockets. Who would have thought 50 years prior of rockets unless it was put into our media? There's no other way you'd even think of a rocket unless media portrayed rockets as future. Of course. So I saw I've been watching this movie a lot lately because I pick apart movies for as I try to figure out what they're doing next. And so I pick apart Hollywood movies, but The Knowing is a good one because it kind of shows you the direction that they're taking. They're using specific agendas, space absolutely, the globe absolutely, evolution is huge, and so they're taking these things that we've been taught since kindergarten, and they're manipulating people to believe, and these are psychopaths. They don't have guilt. They do not
have feelings.
Correct. They're able to teach these things in schools and in college and all the way up to people who are PhDs. And they know they're false. They know they're fake. There's no proof. It's all theory. But they can do this because it's an agenda, and it goes with their agenda. So,
can I add to that?
Yes.
Okay, this is a scriptural ideal, guys. Is that God says that He will do nothing. Will I do nothing without first telling my servants, the prophets? Satan or Lucifer or whatever name you want to give him, the serpent. He has these aspirations to be like the Most High. So he also has his servants, the prophets. We call them the media. And so he tells us, they tell us what they're doing through movies, through media, like you're saying, Cindy. So they're laying their game plan or their intent in a whole lot of movies like that. Yeah.
You know, guys, this is very interesting, and I shut my camera off so I get a better stream. But when we talked with Rob Simon, he's very honest. He gave us Russia's, Japan's FTP servers, all their model of Earth that they used to superimpose the images on to make it look like they're taken from outer space. Totally straight up, honest about what map projections you use, and he gave us that website and how to configure the map that they use for different projections and things. When you talk to other NASA, certain employees at certain departments, they straight up tell you, oh, no, it's not this and this. And so none of it leads to outer space or living on a spinning ball and traveling 483,000 miles an hour. What it tells me, though, is that it seems like there's a separation between the people doing the work at NASA and a media conglomerate or a other type of government that does the faking part, the part where they take you in on the ISS and fake, weightlessness through the HoloLens technology JPL is working with right now, or telemetrics that they've contracted, and that allows them to bring in actors from any place over the world and put them on the same set. It's almost like the stuff that these engineers are building are actually used and put on these platform type what we'll call satellites, just for a better lack of term right now, so they can look at the Earth and get cloud cover and things. They're heavily interested in our magnetic field. We'll probably talk about that in another video. We'll talk about the sun in another video. and how the eclipse, nothing blocked the sun. But it almost seems like there's this other type of government thing going on that's sort of separate from NASA. It's like NASA has another division that we would call liars and deceivers, part of NASA. And then we have the people that actually do real work and real technology for NASA. That's what it's looking like. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Again, the mass of people, and they are many, there was between 17,000 and 35,000 at Goddard at any one time throughout the history of Goddard. All of those workers, like Hubble was built in our clean room at Goddard, right? It never enters their mind that what they're doing is going to be for deception. They think that it's for science, for knowledge, for the betterment of mankind, so that we could understand how we were created, right? Which the very thought of that's kind of insane, but anyway.
What do you got to say to that, Cindy?
Can you please repeat what you just said, David?
I said that that just at Goddard alone, there's a lot of people that work for NASA in its entirety, that work who are engineers and scientists and other support personnel supporting all of that infrastructure. That at Goddard alone, there was between 17,000 and 35,000 people just working at Goddard.
Okay, so when I was at Dryden, and it's not called Dryden Flight Research Center anymore, they did change the name not too long ago. I don't know what the new name is, but when I worked there from 1996 to 2000, we had to go through Y2K. And because I was an IT support person, I know exactly how many computers there were. I'm going to give you a basis. It was 2,500 computers that I had to fix prior to Y2K, which is, everybody remembers Y2K. If you don't, you need to go research it. But so I can tell you we had approximately 2,500 computers, which equates to approximately 2,500 folks. If I had to guess, based on my experience in those 4 years as a truther now, and I became very awake in 2009 to most truths, and I became aware of flat Earth in May of 2016. So I have many years as an awake person. When I go back and I think about the photographers who were in the office next to me, who came out of the building and said they couldn't believe people believed in the fake moon landings. That was in 1997, 98. I don't remember the exact date. I just remember it happening. So
wait. NASA employees that are in the know are going, I can't believe these people bought into that moon landing crap.
Oh, guys.
This is what I overheard, yes.
No. You just reminded me of something I mentioned the other day to somebody who was like, a pastor friend of mine. At Goddard, we had a digitization project in the education office. A guy named Dr. Bob Gabrice was the head of education at NASA Goddard. I did a lot of education outreach, but I was also technologically adept, so they would include me in these extra projects. We were going to digitize all the lunar lander and all of the Apollo mission stuff they had in archive, and it was missing. It was gone.
Oh, boy.
Okay? and I remember, but here's the thing. Then I still believed all the other garbage. So I was like, well, it didn't make any sense. Like, how would you lose? I guess the most historic moment in all of mankind. Why would you lose that?
You lost all the telemetry data to the most important event ever, right?
Yes, they got like freaking 10 sound bites from the lunar mission,
I'll tell you, I was the retrospect administrator. Retrospect is a system that we used to back up computers for the whole facility. So this is dating myself, obviously, because retrospect is, I think it's outdated. I don't think anybody uses it now. But if you look in history, you will see that retrospect was the technology, the app, basically. We didn't have Windows. This was a long time ago, so it was different. But we used a system called retrospect to back up computer systems. Now, if I'm understanding my role right as the backup administrator for Dryden Flight Research Center, everything was backed up every night based on my job, what I did. I backed up computers, and it was a system. It did it automatically.
Now, wait, Cindy. Are you backing up like super important data like the moon data? Or was the moon data not as important?
And everything that was on
they're personal freaking MP3s.
So we can lose the moon data, but we're backing up everybody that swiped their key card for the last 20 months, right? Yes. Okay, I got it. Just as long as I understand NASA's priorities. Gotcha.
Yes, yeah. So we're backing up the work that they do each day to make sure that they're not...
Family pictures.
What's that?
Family pictures. Look, wait. Because I'll never forget my first week at Goddard. I went into an engineer's office like he's a freaking GS-15 or something, okay? That's like a $250,000 a year, okay? It's like 150 to 250 a year salary. I go into his office, one of his hard drives had crashed. I'm not making this up, guys. And I get called on a tech support call. I pull his drive and I run this data retrieval tool. And it's all organized pornography. It's all porn with categorized folders.
That's terrible.
But my point is that all that stuff is all saved.
Right.
Well, you got to back up the porn. Can't lose that, right? But we lost the moon data. Yeah.
There's a lot of, and this is off topic a little bit, but there's a lot of cancer at Edwards Air Force Base where Dryden Flight Research Center is located. I don't think that's accidental. I don't believe that that's accidental. I believe that there's a reason why they allow so many, I don't know what it is. It's not just chemicals. There's so many things going on at the base, at Edwards Air Force Base, that environmentally are harmful to humans. I don't think that's accidental. I think that the smart people that they hire, they don't want them to remain smart, and they maybe don't even want them to stay in the know. We had an SR-71 pilot who, I think it was 2007, somewhere in there. Anyway, she was an SR-71 pilot, Marta Bonmeyer. She was flying SR-71s for her career, and she died in a small airplane accident in the mid-2000s. So you understand, I have a lot of questions about these so-called weird, strange deaths that happen, whether it's cancer, whether it's an airplane crash, whatever it is. I have a lot of questions. Marta Bonmeyer crashing a plane and dying after flying the SR-71? It's odd.
Yeah, well, she's not the only one, though, Cindy. There's YouTube videos about a guy that worked in Antarctica, supposedly found out something. It seems like if you're a type of person that they can't trust, and you have information that need to know information only, it seems like some of these people are dying mysteriously or disappearing even, right?
Or they're having mental issues that cause them to have to take or to be prescribed, not have to take, but be prescribed drugs that alter their mind to the point that they're practically useless.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good setup, right? Because, you know, somebody comes clean, like you guys, whistleblowers, you know, and they go, well, they're doing this and this and this. But then all of a sudden you can go back and say, well, we have their mental history here, and they're not, yeah, they're nuts, and they're not really saying the right things. We are taking care of them. We have them on medication. But they're just saying wrong things, and so we can discredit that way also.
Yes.
And so there's, and, you know, people are always wondering, well, where are these NASA employees that are saying the Earth is flat? Folks, I got 2 NASA former employees right here on video that know for a fact, from what they learned from NASA and what they've studied out themselves, that the Earth is indeed not a spinning ball. Amen?
Amen.
And I know, Cindy, I know that you've got family to tend to right now, and I would like to make some more videos with you guys because, David, we still got to talk about planes flying along a magnetic field of some type because we know everything's based on magnetics. We know that. We know from the eclipse that the sun and moon are just projection lights, and I'd like to hear you guys' theory about that. Cindy and I got some photos to show, so the next video I'll bring those photos. Cindy and I do not agree on everything, and that's great because we need that. We need not to be on the same page and beat the same drum. What we need is to research the information and bring forth ideas and share with one another. And most importantly, as flat earthers, folks, we need to get along. I can't stress that enough. There are no shills and gatekeepers in the flat earth community. There is no such thing as that. Nobody has the key to the whole thing, and they're just hiding it from us, okay? It's not even possible. And, you know, and I get so mad. Yeah, I don't share the views of maybe Jaron or Bob or even Cindy. I don't share all her views. But I can tell you she is not a NASA gatekeeper, and I can tell you she's not a shill. She's very genuine. She's serious, and most importantly, she loves the Lord Jesus, and so does you and myself, David.
Amen.
And I'm so glad that you guys had a chance to watch this video with us. Are we going to?
I think we could even do a series, Mike.
You want to do a series, David?
Thinking about all the subjects that we've discussed today, just on our own, aside from the recording. Honestly, if your listeners are interested, I'm open to doing a series and doing different subjects on each one.
Well, David's already got a YouTube channel, and you're going to have a YouTube channel, Cindy. So I want to call it Cindy Guns.
Cindy Guns.
Well, just whatever, but you know, it's just something dangerous sounding, you know.
Well, hey, Mike. I would love to be involved in this series, but I'm really shy and I don't like to talk a whole lot.
That's a bunch of caca, David.
I'm pretty sure you're lying like NASA right now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, no, because David, you have some good points about planes. I'd like to talk maybe about planes like the TR-3, which Cindy didn't know about, but I got pictures of one. And we do have things up there, and we do have things up there taking pictures, but that does not take away the fact that 99% of all of our communication has to be done through undersea cables, simply because there are no satellites above us. There's no such thing as our 24 GPS satellites hovering above us either. Anyways, all right, guys, we can do it. We can talk about a series. This is Mike, David, and Cindy Holland, and we, all 3 of us, are glad that you watched. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.